Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of Pacific Playbook. I'm your host, Adam. Today I'll cover the BC Lions season coming. Today I'll be covering the BC Lions season coming to an end, the Seahawks disappointing stretch, the Canucks hot streak, and finally the NBA gearing into Week 3. Before we begin, I apologize for missing last week's episode. I was sick, so my voice was a little rough, and that wouldn't be great to listen to. So, this is episode 2, but is Week 3. First off, in case you missed it, the BC Lions lost to the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the Western semifinals last Saturday. It was a tough game overall. I was really excited going into it, but obviously Saskatchewan is the better team, and they did come out on top. But it was kind of not a boring game, but it wasn't a very high scoring and back and forth game like was anticipated. Vernon Adams, he played pretty well. Did okay, but the only way I thought it would actually win was if Vernon Adams played his best game of his career, which obviously wasn't the case. Can't blame him there. Got some, obviously, O-line issues for the Lions. Saskatchewan is probably the best defense in the league, so I don't really think it was his fault. I don't really think it was anyone's in particular's fault about this loss. Nobody really played outstandingly bad, but nobody really played outstandingly good. So that's not a great sight. Definitely going to this offseason, there's going to be changes. But the thing is, for me personally, this was supposed to be the year that we were supposed to do something instead of waiting until next year, and it keeps going on like not a rebuild, but we can't just keep looking to next year when this was the year when we're hosting the Grey Cup. Like, I bought tickets a few months ago thinking I'm going to go see the BC Lions take down whoever they play and celebrate in the streets, but no, that's not going to happen. Probably going to see, my guess is Winnipeg and Toronto, which I really hope not. But, I mean, that is what it is sometimes. It's just disappointing since, this is supposed to be their year, and it ended really shortly. After week, I think 7 it was, they just never really found their stride, especially after Vernon Adams got hurt. We had Nathan Rourke. I thought that was a sign of good things to come, but obviously that's not the case. There was highs and there was a lot of lows after week 7, after we went 5-1, but it just obviously was clear that our talent wasn't good enough to make us go further in the playoffs. And it's not like we should have beat Saskatchewan. We definitely were the underdogs. And I didn't really have high hopes about us making the West final or even winning the Grey Cup at all. But I just thought maybe there was a chance. And I saw some people, mad about them starting Vernon Adams over Nathan Rourke. But in my opinion, it was definitely the right move. It's Vernon Adams' team, not anymore, but it was. I think putting Rourke out there in the West semifinal just wouldn't have been the right move. So I'm pretty relieved that they went with Vernon Adams, even though it wasn't the greatest. But at least you can't really. There's no excuses for really the offense anymore after that, because they couldn't really get it done with anyone after week 7. So I don't exactly know what the case was. Obviously, strength of schedule was kind of important. Even though we did play some good teams, they didn't look great. But after we started 5-1, we just never really returned, except maybe that one game in Victoria against Ottawa. That was rare for the last half of the season for us to actually play well. But it kind of just fell off again after that, which is unfortunate because me and many other people really had some high hopes for this team. Even going into this year, I really thought this was it because we were so close the past 2 years, losing in the West Final in the fourth quarter. So I just thought, some teams regressed in last offseason. We didn't regress. We kind of upgraded, if anything, but just not really doing anything this season and falling back is really disappointing. Um, I think it will be. I think it will be better next year with a full training camp, and we know who our quarterback is going to be. I don't know exactly where Vernon Adams is going to go. I think probably either Edmonton or Calgary, which is I'm fine with wherever he goes. Hope he really has a say though, because we treated him somewhat unfairly, just not letting him play after he got hurt, and just kind of taking the team away from him. Even though he did start in the playoffs, I do kind of feel for him that it was treated not the best by Rick Campbell and everyone in the organization, but you can't really just look at that now and be like, and criticize him when in the moment it was just like, yeah, whatever. Like out in the moment when they started Rourke, in whatever week it was against Toronto when Vernon Adams was healthy and they still started Rourke, I was happy with it because I thought, they would finally catch their stride and just get rolling into the playoffs. They never did, and it was horrible because it's hard to watch, honestly. You got the owner putting in so much money and time and effort into this, and you got the guys just not producing. And for me, what stood out was, I think, week 11 versus Calgary, in Calgary, the 2 weeks before Vernon Adams got hurt. We lost that game 25-24, I'm pretty sure. But we had a chance to win it with like a minute left, and Keontae Evans picked up a fumble by Jalen Philpott, and he fumbled again, resulting in Calgary picking it up. So instead of us, getting the ball back, essentially winning with a walk-off field goal, we fumbled the ball, gave it back to them, and they won the game. And that, for me, that felt like a little bit of a trailer for what was to come. Just because before that we were rolling, and after that it just fell off. So that was kind of like a symbol to me, looking back. Like that was our last moment that we were really in the good times. And it's been hard, especially as a Lions fan, just going through this, because everyone knows how good this team could be and how they were. But they just didn't produce and didn't show up in big moments. So that just results in them obviously not making it further in the playoffs as they wanted, but it's something they have to build on and get better at over the next year or so. They really want to do something in these next few years. They got to learn to step up in the big moments instead of just resulting back to their old ways and just not playing football like they should have been. So yeah, it's been tough as a fan of the Lions basically this entire year. But even if you're not a fan of the Lions, the CFL has been a great season overall. I think everywhere has been great. All teams really have had a chance to make the playoffs. So this is probably one of the most successful years in the past I don't know, decade or so. And it's just great to see for the league. Now we have the West and East finals coming up in about 3 days. We got the Western final with the Riders and Bombers. I think the Bombers will take that. I hope the Riders win. I hate Winnipeg. Obviously, they've taken on the Lions in the past 2 years, but I just hate everything about Winnipeg. Not necessarily I like Saskatchewan. I just don't like Winnipeg. So, yeah, I hope I get to see Saskatchewan in a couple weeks in downtown Vancouver. Now in the East, it's tough because I really don't like any of these teams. Obviously, Toronto, Chad Kelly, hate them. Never liked them even before the sexual assault came out about Chad Kelly. Never liked them. But Montreal, I don't hate them. I kind of like them as a team. It's just they won last year, so in some ways that'll be kind of boring. But I like them more than Toronto, so I really do hope they take them down. But I don't see that happening. I think Toronto's just too hot of a team right now to let anyone stop them. So I do think it'll be Winnipeg and Toronto in the Grey Cup, and I really hope not. But if it comes down to that, I don't even know who I'll cheer for. Might just boo the entire game. And the Lions season is over. So I have no clue what they're going to do in the offseason. Potentially firing Rick Campbell is in the future. I don't even know who we would hire, but it might have to do something because obviously whatever they have in these past years isn't really working. Is going where they want to go. So we'll see. Secondly, we are going to talk about the Seattle Seahawks, who are in a somewhat disappointing stretch, losing 4 of their last 5 games, which is just really, really tough to see. And this week they do have a bye week, so I think that's good just for them to reset and get everyone healthy and just realize and take a look and see what they're doing wrong, because they aren't necessarily playing horrible if they're just not executing the small things and dumb penalties and beating themselves. And offensive line is obviously probably bottom 5, no, for sure bottom 5, possibly worst in the league. So it's just really not a great look for this team. Even they aren't like a top 10 ranked team by everyone, but everyone in the league around knows the Seahawks are a good team. It's just we have to stop killing ourselves these dumb penalties and like Requel and overtime against Los Angeles, not attacking the ball, resulting in a first down and us losing the game. So it's just small little plays that we gotta fix and make the right move. We can't really make any roster moves. I mean like physical moves by the players, because trade deadline had passed, I think, yesterday. We didn't really do anything in the deadline, so I'm fine with that. We don't really need, I guess O-line would have been important, but nobody's really selling O-linemen, so I guess I'll leave it with what we're at. And that was a big part of last week's loss was O-line, but still, Geno Smith throwing 3 interceptions, 2 of them in the 10-yard line in the Rams' 10-yard line was really like a backbreaker. One of them going for 103 yards for a pick 6 for Kinchins for the Rams, the rookie corner, and then another one, just the bad play by A.J. Barner and Geno Smith, just not great patience there, and just throwing it into the predicting where Barner would be, and it was 2 in front of him and got picked off. That was 2 scores that they should have at least got a field goal on, which is about at least 6 points, which it got taken off the board, and another 7 points in Los Angeles' favor because of the pick 6. So you just can't have that if you want to be a good team, especially against a divisional opponent like Los Angeles. So we did some good things, right? We ran the ball a lot, which I liked. Offensive line obviously didn't do a great job of blocking for Kenneth Walker, but he still made something out of it, which is good to see. I think he had, 70, 80 yards on like 20 carries, which isn't the best, but it's not horrible. He didn't have a big breakout run, but he still was efficient on the ground and did his job. It's just the offensive line has to be better. Receivers did great. JSN did one of the best games of the NFL season so far with, I think it was 180 yards on 9 catches and 2 touchdowns or something like that. And he had about almost 100 taken off because of penalties. So he had a huge game. Definitely like to see that out of our young, talented receiver. Because I think it was 2 weeks ago against Buffalo, because DK was out, we were resulting to JSN, and he didn't really produce as much as we would like. And then last week it was looking It wasn't looking great after the first quarter. I thought, oh God, we're not going to do anything again with JSN and Lockett because of DK's absence. We just weren't passing the ball. And then mid-second quarter, JSN just erupted and got a touchdown, like 70 yards in the first half, I think it was. And then just kept continuing in the second and overtime. So that was great to see. I don't know if he'll, continue this because of DK coming back, but it's just a great thing to see from JSN, who's had some big plays, but never really had a huge game like he did last week. So that's just great. The Seahawks have been the opposite of hot lately. But who has been hot? The Canucks. Vancouver has been very hot. 6-2-2 in their last 10. Starting off the season, I think it was 0-2 and 0-1-2. And climbing back from that, going now third in their division, which is a very good sight to see. Even with Demko and Joshua still out of the lineup, it's just awesome to see everyone playing together and really just not dominating, but looking like a good team finally. And this is definitely a playoff team. They will make the playoffs. I'm confident in that. And when they get everyone back, I see it being like last year where they're going to be a top team again. Specifically winning the Pacific Division. That'll definitely be a goal for them. And I think it is possible, even though you got like Vegas and Edmonton, who's been okay. You got some good teams in the division, so it'll be tough, but I think they have enough star power if they get everyone back to, where they could be, like Pedersen, who's been struggling, but he did score last night, which is a good sign to see. Hughes 3 points last night, another really good sight to see. The past Norris winner is just, in my opinion, the best defender or defenseman in the NHL. Just unreal. Skating, scoring, shooting, everything he does is just top notch. So getting 3 assists, and I think he's the third youngest to 300 points ever. That is pretty unreal for a Canuck to do that. Very, very cool to see, especially in my lifetime. Got a guy on my team doing that. It's just unreal. And the Canucks really haven't done many things like special so far, like nothing flashy. It's kind of been boring watching these games. I haven't watched all of them just because there's nothing crazy about them. I like, some guys like Kiefer Sherwood's been scoring, hitting everywhere. He's probably been one of our best players so far this year, which is really interesting to see since he was kind of an underrated pickup in this offseason. Like I said last episode, I had some high hopes for him. He's been really paying off for them and doing great for this team, which is obviously something you really want to see out of a guy like him. So the Canucks really don't have much to be frowned upon. They haven't done many things wrong since the first week of the season. So they just better continue this streak of good hockey and getting points every game. So when they get Demko back and Joshua back, I think they'll be almost a complete team. Not there yet, but they're a very, very good team. Top 10 team for sure. And I'm very confident in this team compared to the Lions and the Seahawks, which is rare because usually the Canucks are one of the worst in the league in the past couple of years. And the Seahawks and Lions are the best. So it's pretty different now, but I guess that's what happens. We're now finally going to finish up on the NBA, just in general. Now going to the third week of the season. It's been pretty interesting so far. Got my team, the Knicks, and also the Suns. They've been doing great as well. But basically, the NBA is running through the Cleveland Cavaliers right now, who are, 7-0, which is unreal. You got the Thunder, who also... No, I think the Thunder lost a few days ago. I think they're 7-1. But you got some really good teams in the West, and the East has been struggling. But obviously, it's been 5 games. I think there's 2 teams in the East right now who have winning records, which is pretty weird. But, small sample size, can't really go off of that. And guys like Cam Thomas in Brooklyn, who's been lighting it up. I think he's averaging 26, 27 points a game. It's pretty amazing from a guy who's just in Brooklyn, not not like a top team. So it's just good to see teams like that really flourishing and having guys like who can really score the ball and some smaller teams. We also got some of the best teams like my team, the Knicks. Jalen Brunson is really scoring the ball at a high rate. In the Knicks, Anthony Davis. In the Lakers, Anthony Davis, who's top 10 MVP candidate right now, who's playing out of his mind, rebounding, scoring. He's actually out tonight with I think heel injury it is, but that's what happens with Anthony Davis, but you just gotta get used to it. And LeBron, obviously being like LeBron, not as great as his past few years, but you can't really get mad at him for that. He's 39, 40, and Bronny scoring a few days ago was pretty cool. Last episode talked about him actually playing on the first game, and now he scored, which is something. When you're an NBA player, you probably should score, but I guess he did, so that's kind of cool. I think he'll go down to the G League in a few maybe days or weeks, but him being in the NBA and scoring is pretty cool. And then some guys in their division like Kevin Durant in Phoenix has been heating it up, scoring the ball at a very high rate, and he's been very clutch. I think he has 2-3 game winners, especially last night against Philly and last week against Los Angeles Clippers. He set a shot in the pass in the last 10 seconds of the game to win it for Phoenix. So he's possibly the clutch player of the year this year. And you got guys who also won awards, who want to win awards like Wembanyama for the most improved player. Absolutely a beast. Had 9 blocks 2 days ago. Great guy for my fantasy team. We got guys all over the league lighting it up, like some underrated guys in Toronto like Grady Dick. You got Ochai Baji, also on the Raptors. They've been playing great. Nobody really seems to acknowledge them. Same with a guy in Washington, Carlton Carrington, the rookie. Great guy for my fantasy team as well. But he's been just scoring it and assisting at a very good level. And he is a rookie and looking like a very sustainable player who will have a long career. I think the MVP race this year is going to be pretty interesting. Yeah, guys like Shea, Luka, Giannis, obviously Jokic, and Tatum and Wemby and stuff like that. I think that'll be really cool to see who actually comes away with the MVP this year, because there's definitely some good options, and all around the board, I think everyone has a good chance. It just depends who's obviously wins and who doesn't get hurt. Who stays healthy is definitely a huge part. So you got guys like Embiid, who obviously aren't going to win this year because of the CBA regulations. He also got suspended, I think, 3 games because he pushed a reporter for talking about his dead brother or something like that. Something pretty crazy. So I kind of understand where Embiid's coming from, but it's pretty interesting what transpired. And I think Embiid wasn't going to play those 3 games anyway, but it just sometimes suspensions happen. But I think a real punishment for Embiid was to make him play 3 games, because he hasn't played 3 straight games in month. So it's kind of weird what's been going on with him, especially guys like Ben Simmons too, who have been hurt all the time. But he actually is playing a few games this year, which is improvement. But he's also getting load management, which is kind of to be expected. Load management is something that is not particularly a fan favorite and not a favorite of mine. And got guys like Kawhi Leonard, who's just never really playing, but he has this knee injury and problems with the knee from not getting treatment in San Antonio or something like that. His career is not looking good. But obviously he has had a great career just lately and going into the future. I don't know if he's going to be ever. I don't even know if he's going to play again, but he's obviously not going to be the same. But Clippers are actually in good hands with James Harden. He's been playing great, looking back like his old self. So I think the Clippers do have a good chance too. There's not really much to go off in the NBA lately. It's just been some good basketball. Hasn't really been much drama and much disappointment. It's just been great basketball. So maybe next episode when I'm feeling a little bit less, sick, a little bit less better. I mean, a little bit better. I'll elaborate more on this. I'm just still recovering, but you gotta get these episodes out. You know what I mean? So that will be it for this episode. It'll be interesting to see who wins the West and East finals in the CFL and who's going to make the Grey Cup. And Seahawks obviously have a bye week, so next week I will preview who they play. I think it's the 49ers. Christian McCaffrey coming back. That'll be pretty cool. And the Canucks, obviously, keeping up this hot streak will be important and fun to see. So, yeah, that'll be all I have to say on this episode, and I'll catch you next week. Bye.